And now for the early games on Sunday afternoon. Boston goes to Chicago to play the Chiefs as Dave Craig starts this off early to Randall Hill down the right side, one of the most lopsided games in the BTFL Season 2. Johnny Johnson gets the touchdown down the left side with that scamper. Jim McMahon throws it over the middle to Art Monk, but this ball gets intercepted by Haddix. This would lead to a Chip Lowe Miller made field goal, 10-0 Eagles. Jim McMahon's trying to follow that up with getting more points. He's throwing it down the left side to John Taylor. He jumps to make that catch, and Jason Starofsky makes this field goal. It is 10-3 still for the Eagles. Dave Craig, who had a great game last week, throws another one to Randall Hill, and Randall Hill would get it into the end zone for the touchdown. 17-3 for the Eagles. Dave Craig and the Eagles get the ball back. No pressure in his face. Throws it over the middle to Ernest Biner. And Ernest Biner gets it to the 15-yard line. Dave Craig in the red zone. Plenty of receivers are open. Biner finishes this one off for the touchdown. 24-3 for the Eagles. And the Eagles get the ball back. I feel like a broken record. This time Mervin Fernandez gets in this game, diving down the left side, getting it past the 10. This would lead to a Chip Lowe Miller made field goal, so at least the Chiefs are stopping the bleeding a little bit. But they can't stop it for too long as Jim McMahon throws it down the right side to Farrell Edmonds, and Farrell Edmonds is injured. And he would happen to be replaced by Cox. Dave Craig, though, would capitalize off of the no score for the Chiefs on that drive as Randall Hill gets the ball again. And then Ernest Biner hands off to the right side. He's got another touchdown in this game, 34-3. Dave Craig still has receivers open. He throws it down the left side to Mervin Fernandez, jumping for the catch, and he gets in the end zone for the touchdown. So Dave Craig is wheeling and dealing right here. 40-3 would eventually be 41-3, eventually 54-3. Chiefs are 5-8, and the Eagles are 9-4.
Today we have the Philadelphia Spirit visiting the Baltimore Bulls, where Leonard Russell, the starting running back, will be making his return from injury. Where we have Joe Montana throws it, opening drive to Mark Carrier for the touchdown. Philadelphia taking the lead 7-0. Rich Gannon is looking for an answer. However, it was intercepted by Philadelphia's defense. We have Joe Montana not long after looking for another deep pass. Throws it right to Michael Hayes. Gets past the 20, the 10, stopped on the 8-yard line. And soon after the play, Joe Montana goes for another pass to Mark Carrier for the touchdown. Not long after, Rich Gannon is backing away looking for a pass. Throws it, completes it to Mark Ingram. Gets past midfield, gets past the 40, stopped on the 32-yard line. Then Gannon pitches it to Russell to the outside, runs it in for the touchdown to put points on the board. Joe Montana taking over for the pass, looking, scrambling. He fumbles the ball. Then it was recovered by Baltimore as they were moving, and Eric Ball helps puts 14 unanswered points on the board. Philadelphia was unable to capitalize after giving up that fumble recovery and touchdown, so they ended up punting the ball away to the Baltimore Bulls, where Martin is going to be returning. But as soon as he comes in contact, the ball slipped out of his hands and is recovered as Philadelphia scores. So this time, Rich Gannon's backing away, runs to the right side of the field, completes it to Marv Cook as he gets past midfield and he's stopped on the 30-yard line. Rich Gannon goes back-to-back with the exact same play. This time passes it to Mark Ingram as he's wide open and puts points on the board for Baltimore. So Philadelphia was unable to capitalize, so Rich Gannon is looking for a pass, backs away, throws it, completes it to Irving Fryer, wide open, but he was stopped on the 29-yard line. So Rich Gannon once again runs to the right side of the field. He throws it, but it was intercepted by Barnett Busey. Joe Montana on his 30-yard line, looking for a pass, completes it to Michael Hayes, wide open, gets past the 30, the 20, stopped on the 7-yard line, but it was settled by Johnny Johnson for the touchdown, 28-21. Joe Montana with another pass, throws it, completes it to Mark Carrier, gets past midfield and is stopped on the 48-yard line. Then you have Barry Foster plow right through the line for the touchdown, where Philadelphia extends the lead 35-21. Rich Gannon throws it to Irving Fryer, stopped on the 30-yard line. In a following play, Gannon gives the ball to Ball, runs it in for the touchdown, 35-28. Rich Gannon, who got the ball back. It was 4th and 10, but it was sacked, and it was turnover on downs. And then Philadelphia runs it in for the touchdown not long after, and the Philadelphia Spirit will take another W, 42-35.
Both these teams coming off of losses last week, Guardians and Cardinals. So we'll start off with Brett Favre on the first drive for the Guardians, throwing it to Sammy Smith in the flats. Sammy Smith gets it into Cardinals territory. Recently, the Cardinals, their defense has not been doing as well, as down the left side is Ron Moore, and Ron Moore has the touchdown, puts the Guardians up 7-0. And the Guardians and Brett Favre get the ball back. Brett throws it down the left side to Alexander. If loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right. Getting it into the red zone. And then Favre throws it over the middle to Mark Bavaro, one of the better tight ends in the BTFL Season 2. Cardinals get the ball for the second time. Ken O'Brien throws it down the left side all the way to his receiver, Robert Clark. And Robert Clark gets it inside the 10, and then Marcus Allen pounds it in for the touchdown. One of the better running backs in the BTFL Season 2. Ron Moore goes whoop around defenders inside Cardinals territory. He scores. Guardians up by 14. Sammy Smith down the right side. Flip to the right, avoiding defenders. Getting it past the 40, past the 35. And then Brett Favre stands in the pocket. Throws it to Bavaro. Bavaro, he's making defenders look foolish as Ron Moore pounds it in for the touchdown. Ken O'Brien sees his team down by 21 as he'll throw it down the left side to Robert Clark, who's wide open. And Ken O'Brien in the red zone. Receivers open, fires it over the middle to Herb Smith, who's got the touchdown. Cardinals down by 15 after missing that extra point. Ken Willis will kick it off to the return man. Usually if we've got a return, it's a big player gaff, and guess what? On the ground, it's a fumble. It's a gaff, but this would lead to a missed extra point, so it doesn't really matter. Sammy Smith down the right side, he would fumble, balls on the ground, recovered by Ray Seals, and he's got the touchdown. Favre throwing it to Bavaro with his team up by, I think that's 9 points. Favre needs to find the end zone again. Alexander Wright would get to the 1, but wouldn't score, so Lowry kicks the field goal. It's 31-19. Guardians get the ball back deep in their own territory. Favre throws it to Wright, but the ball is intercepted by Robert Griffin, and this would lead to a field goal attempt, and it is good for the Cardinals. Cardinals get the ball back. Marcus Allen, 4th down, pitch to the right, and he doesn't get it. This would lead to Ron Moore. He would fumble, recovered by Terry McDaniel, giving the Cardinals more chances. 4th and 20, this is an insurmountable conversion for Ken O'Brien. He attempts it, it's no good. Side retired as Brett Favre backs up, finds the Hall of Famer Jerry Rice. He gets into the highlights. Touchdown for the Guardians, as the Guardians would eventually win 38-22. Guardians are 8-5, Cardinals are 9-4. Washington Generals go to the Big Apple for an East Coast Atlantic showdown. We'll start off with Steve DeBerg, play action fake, throwing it to Mike Sherrard, but the ball is intercepted by Bobby Humphrey, and Sean Salisbury-Stake would take over, throwing it down the left side to Brent Jones for the touchdown. Washington takes a 7-point lead. Tricky Ricky Irvins, he's open down the right side from DeBerg, as he would get the first down, and then DeBerg waits in the pocket, throwing the ball down the left side to Flipper Anderson. He's waiting in the end zone. Doesn't get much easier than that. Steve DeBerg's got the ball for New York at midfield, as Flipper Anderson gets the ball down the right side, and he would get too close to the 10-yard line, and then Gary Brown would pound it into the end zone for the touchdown. 7-point lead, 14-point rally for New York. Mike Sherrard would get the ball again to the 20-yard line by Steve DeBerg, and DeBerg would back up, throw it over the middle to Johnny Mitchell. It's 21-17, just like that by New York, so Sean Salisbury-Stake needs to do something here, as he throws it to his tight end, Brent Jones, wide open. Again, doesn't get much easier than that. They go down by 7 points, and Salisbury-Stake gets the ball back, as Rick Fenner gets the ball over the seam, and Derek Fenner would get the touchdown. Tricky Ricky Irvins, he's going down the left side. He gets the handoff to around the 24-yard line. This would lead to a Scott Norwood made field goal, so he doesn't miss this time. New York is up by 3 in the second half. Brett Jones catches that ball from Sean Salisbury-Stake, and then Sean Salisbury-Stake waits, throws the ball to Curtis Conway, who's in the end zone for the touchdown. So Curtis Conway is on the way. Derek Fenner up the middle. He pounds the ball. Get off me. Gets the ball to the 35-yard line, and then Mel Gray shows off the moves, the intensity juke moves, splitting the defense. It's 35-24, just like that. Big rally for Washington. So New York's got to try to get back into the game. Gary Brown for the first down. This would lead to a Scott Norwood made field goal. Down by 8 is New York. 4th and 1 for DeBerg. Less than 2 minutes left, so they're going to need an onside kick. They convert with Gary Brown. And then inside of Washington territory, Mike Sherrard with the catch from Steve DeBerg, and they're down by 1. They just need an onside kick with 2 seconds left. It's doable, but Washington recovers and they would eventually win. Washington is 5-8. New York is 3-10. The Louisville Lightning has a chance to close in on their division, but they'll face John Elway, who comes back from injury, replacing Mike Buck. And he'll start off early. John Elway to the old reliable target, Don Beebe, gets it inside of the 20-yard line, and then John Elway gives it to Kevin McAttack, and he's got it into the end zone for the touchdown. Elway and Pittsburgh get the ball back. Elway play action fakes, throws it to Don Beebe. Diving into the end zone, old reliable, helps Pittsburgh go up 14-0. So this seems like a trap game for Louisville, but don't count Steve Young, the Hall of Famer, out as he throws it over the middle to Gary Anderson, getting it deep into Pittsburgh territory. And then Steve Young play action fakes, throws it down the right side to Gary Clutch City Clark. 14-7, still lead for Pittsburgh. Elway backs up, no pressure in his face, throws it to Reggie Cobb, and he'll get it deeper into Lightning territory. Elway throws it over to Novacek, and Novacek helps Pittsburgh take another 14-point lead. Steve Young rolls out of the pocket, throws it down the right side to Gary Clutch City Clark, getting it past the 35-yard line, and Steve Young would roll out down the right side, and he would go down. Oh no, he gets injured, but luckily they've got a veteran journeyman in Jim Harbaugh to replace him, and Harbaugh picks up where the Hall of Famer left off. Gary Anderson gets the touchdown. Harbaugh back on the Lightning's next drive. Gary Anderson gets another catch. He seems to be the safety blanket for Jim Harbaugh, as this time Neil Anderson would go whoop around defenders, making it into the end zone. It's a tie ball game. Another handoff for Neil Anderson. Huge security blanket is the running game and the running backs for Jim Harbaugh, as Pat Leahy will take the lead for the Lightning. John Elway inside Lightning territory, throws it over the middle to Novacek, but the ball is intercepted by the Lightning. A punt would be attempted because they wouldn't do anything, but the punt was unable to go off. This would lead to a Jason Elam made field goal. Game is tied. Jim Harbaugh close to midfield would throw it down the seam. Jumping catch by Gary Anderson between 3 defenders, and in the red zone, Jim Harbaugh would throw it to Neil Anderson for the touchdown. 31-24. John Elway's got to get points. Around 2 minutes in the fourth quarter, he rolls out of the pocket, showing off the speed, but ball's on the ground. It's a fumble. Ball's recovered by Kenny Davidson, and the handoff would go to Neil Anderson, avoiding defenders. He scores the touchdown. Louisville wins 38-24. Louisville is 10-3. Pittsburgh is 5-8.